Hey everybody, welcome back to another video where the art is good and I really don't know how it happened. So today we're going to be looking at ways that I shade, and like, you could call this a tutorial, and I might even call it a tutorial, but it's really just tips on how I shade so that you can get a better idea of what shading is and then really kind of come up with your own way of shading, you know, because the more information you have, the better you're gonna turn out to be. So I figured, hey, if someone can hear my knowledge and improve, I oughta let them know. So today we're gonna be talking about shading. First off, let me do something. Jump cut. Oh no, what is this? It's the disclaimer alarm. Disclaimer, I am not a professional. I have no authority on this subject. I hope this video helps, but it might not, so, you know, bye. Alright, we got a circle. It's a rough circle, but a circle nonetheless. So everybody who is into art, or, you know, even like wants to get into art, probably knows the shading circle technique of like teaching. And it's a good one. I mean, it teaches you how to use shading to accurately represent depth and such. But everybody probably knows it. But I'm going to use it just to kind of give you an idea of how I shade. So basically what I'll do is I'll color it in, and then I'll go over to the layers, and you can create a quick clipping group, and it makes it to where anything on this layer is all you can draw on. And then I'll change the clipping mask to a multiply layer, and you might already know what that is, but it's really great for shading. And so once you do that, you can pick your shading color, and usually it's kind of a bluish, a lightish blue. And how I'll normally shade is I'll imagine the sun's about here, and then I'll use it to accurately shade. So I'll just come in here and make a sharp kind of almost cartoonish shading angle right here. And you can see I'm not coloring outside the lines because of the clipping mask. And so then you've just got some simple shading right here. And what I'll do after that is I'll usually go in with an airbrush or any kind of like softener and just kind of add some soft stuff in there. So I've got that like sharp shadow, and then I have this little mist stuff in here too. And there's always, I usually skip over this in my videos, but it's actually really good, is like shine. You just add a little bit of shine in here. I don't have this on a clipping mask, so you can see it's kind of coloring outside the lines, but it's actually really helpful to add shine there, and you know, most people probably know that. I usually skip over it for some odd reason. But there you've got just kind of a simple, shaded ball, and obviously in other tutorials it looks a bit better, but this is kind of just more of how I do it. And you can get more detailed in there as much, and like lots of times I'll just mess around, like I'll just get a brush like this and just kind of shade in there and just like, you know, just mess around. And because like I basically never have like one way of shading. Like all of my drawings always have like a different shading technique, really, because like you can see there's kind of that grungy texture because I use this, and like it's always different. And sometimes I'll just go in like back here, get it even darker, and just really darken in this edge. And sometimes I'll even leave it like messy like that, just because sometimes I just feel like I'm in a messy mood. And then it's just generally how I get the shading done, and I think it always turns out really well. And it's always nice to have that like new, like every picture has like a different shading technique and such. And like sometimes you can go in there and get like a really bright and just give it some like real nice shine and stuff like that. So it's like every time it's different, and it's really nice. So that's how I would shade a ball. We can move on to an actual complicated picture to get a better grasp on it now. Now here's a picture I just had laying around. I was actually, the story behind this is hilarious, but maybe I'll save that for later. So here is how you would normally get shading done. You create a layer, and this isn't colored in, so it's going to be a little bit messy, but I can show you the gist real easy here. So you would take a layer, you'd obviously make it to multiply, get your nice good shading in there. Then you've got your shading layer. Probably make it a little bit brighter. There you go. Now you just got shading. And so you would see the sun is coming in from up here, probably shining a little bit on their faces. So you'd probably have like your shading a little bit close to the edge of their face, kind of curving in to match the flow of their face. And then you just fill that in. And then you've got like the side of the face shaded. And then for chin, I used to just do like this every single time, but then I realized shadows aren't the same every time. It depends on where the sun is. So you kind of go in here, and then this side would be more shaded. Pardon my voice, I still am a little bit sick. But, and then you've got the chin shaded, and I love this because it makes the chin pop out really well. And like every time I do the shading under the neck, it just makes it so much better, and I love it. So basically you just go in, and really the more you shade, the more it's just instinct. And obviously I'm not perfect by any means, but you kind of just feel where the sun wouldn't hit probably, and you just kind of go along every part of the character that just wouldn't have the sun hitting it, and you just kind of shade that in real nice, and then eventually you have a fully shaded character. And then what I'll do after I get it fully shaded in is, you've probably guessed it because I said it earlier, is I'll just kind of soften the edges up, you know, just like give it a little extra fuzz, you might say, just to give it that like more painted look. Like it's not quite painted look, but it just like gives it a little bit more of a like real feel, because most shadows kind of fade in and out. And I think that like if it's a hard edge, you just do a sharp shadow, and if it's like smooth, like, you know, the shape of your face where it kind of gradually goes in there, that's whenever you fade it in real nice like that, because your face is slightly curving outwards, so the shadow gets like brighter and brighter the closer it gets to the sun, or darker and darker the further it gets away. So it would have more of a soft transition like this. But if it's a hard edge, say like a box where it's just got that hard edge, you would just kind of leave it sharp like that. And so you really just have to feel how it would really be in real life. And that's the hardest part, is just like practicing until you can kind of figure out how to do it and just feel where the shadows would really go. And then I always love, once I'm done, to go back and just turn off the shadow layer and look at how much it improved. Man, it always looks so much better with shading. I used to, fun fact, I figured this is a great time to say it since it's a shading tutorial, but I used to not think shading was important at all. Like I was just like, why would you shade? I mean, like I guess I see, like, you know, but like it's not like it makes the picture look any better. You know, it's not like, you know, but I'm just like, dude, I'm just like, my past self, come on, don't be so dense. But anyway, shading is absolutely a must. If you're still contemplating that, there's no end to the effect that shading has on your drawing. It turns it from meh to just the most legendary. So you can see the difference between these two people. No shading, much better, not nearly as good. But you always have to start somewhere, because I have a lot of drawings, and maybe I'll do a sketchbook tour one of these days, but I had a lot of drawings that I never had shading, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna practice shading. And I just went through all of my old drawings that I never shaded, what's the word for that? But anyway, I went through all of my drawings that I had never given shading before, and I would just shade, and I would just get slightly better at it. The first one I ever did was garbage, but I just got slightly better at it, and I'm still working on it, but I'd like to think that I am so much better now. And so all you really need to do is just keep practicing. That's the number one tip. The first tip is just find where you need to put the shading, and then just shade it there and outline it. Second tip, add some fizz. That's optional, of course, because it really depends on how you want the drawing to look and how you're feeling about it. And then just practice. And I know, like, apparently a lot of people hate to hear that, but I'm just like, bruh, improvement. It's just like you always love to have that improvement, and it feels really good whenever you look back at your old stuff and you realize how far you've come. And that is a tip for practicing. Practicing 101. Look back at your old stuff. Like, and that works with anything. If you're practicing music, record yourself whenever you suck. Then later, when you still think you suck, look back and you'll realize how much you've improved. And same thing with drawing. Look back at your old drawings and see how horrible you were and laugh at yourself hilariously. I have this one picture that has such huge feet that every time I go through it, I just write a dumb comment. Just like, dude, what the heck? Just like, why are your feet so huge? It's just like, I just make fun of yourself because it gives you a sense of pride now, which gives you the power to move forward. But anyway, that was my pep talk. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. And I'll see you in the next one.